Welcome back to the North. In this video, I'm going to discuss substrate. Stuff we all like to put at the bottom of our tanks. And in my experience, I'm going to share what I think is the ideal substrate setup. This will suit your plants if you want a planted aquarium, and it'll suit your non-planted aquarium if you have plant damaging cichlids, or cichlids in general, really, because cichlids are dirty fish. They tend to produce a lot of waste. And we tend to keep lots of cichlids in our cichlid tanks because it's beautiful. They're beautiful fish, colorful fish, and it's always nice to have large schools or shoals of various types in like a cichlid community tank. That's probably my next favorite tank is a cichlid community tank. That's what we're doing downstairs at the Oscars, trying to make it South American. And there's not a lot of choice. There is, but there isn't because of aggression and compatibility, and it's hard to actually make a South American community tank. I would love to be able to put Oscars or discus in with my Oscars, but they're just not compatible from a temperature perspective. If you turn the Oscars up to the Oscars should live in the discus temperatures, but they'll get more feisty. They'll get more territorial, and they'll start to breed. You keep your Oscars cold, and it keeps them calm. So, I've dropped this tank down by a degree because we're shifting into spring, and I set my inkbird to 87 in the winter to give it an extra buffer, and I set to 86 in the summer. And when I get into heat waves, I'll set her down to 84 because normally the temperature in the house can get higher than that all on its own some days. So there's times I have to cool my tank. But anyhow, back to the substrate. The ideal substrate, in my opinion, is a thin substrate. You don't want more than 2 inches. Somewhere between an inch and an inch and a half is good. And then what I recommend is a 50-50 sand to substrate mix. Okay, if you root plants down in this, although it's thin, there's quite a bit of sand in there. If we get up close, you'll notice I bought black sand just to contrast with I didn't go buy sand the same color because then you don't see what's going on. I bought black sand on purpose because I want to see the contrast between the sand and the substrate. And that helps me when I do my gravel vacuums. As I'm moving the gravel vacuum hose from one place to the next, the sand gets pulled to the top. And so I can see exactly where I've already vacuumed. And that helps me do a thorough gravel vacuuming. And then, this is 2 days later, most of the sand is settled beneath the gravel now. And it'll continue to do that. And eventually you just don't see the sand anymore. So 50-50 sand gravel mix is really the best way to do it because sand by itself, it'll look dirty pretty quick visually. I don't like that when the poop will just land down there. And also, when you're gravel vacuuming, the 50-50 mix keeps the sand from going up the hose because you got tumbling stones in there and it beats the sand down. So you can clean your sand really good while you're cleaning the gravel really good. So there's the other advantage to doing the 50-50 mix. It looks cleaner longer, even though it's the same amount of dirt. And it will trap some poop, but because the cracks in the gravel are all filled with sand, it doesn't really trap any poo down there. Most of the waste in my system is getting picked up by my filters because I have heavy flow that's pushing it along the bottom. It just rolls around the bottom until it gets picked up by the bubbler or something, thrown back into the air, and then the filters get it. So gravel alone is bad because there's lots of gaps between the gravel to allow things to get down in there and trapped. But if you mix it with sand, all those little holes get filled with the sand, and then the poop can't get down in underneath the gravel, and your filters get it. I don't believe loam is a healthy thing. There's always some in there anyway, so if it is a healthy thing, I've got enough of it for that, for whatever benefit is coming from that. There's definitely enough of it still there. But you want to make sure you got 90% of the crap out for sure, most of the time. So a thorough gravel vac once a week is essential to a healthy aquarium. Don't listen to the swamp tankers. They'll find out in 1.5 to 2 years when the time bomb goes off, and all of a sudden they've got like just stuff they can't control going on in their tank, and their fish start dying because of it. You want to stop that. You want to keep your water clear. You want to keep, you don't want bacterial foams growing all over your plants and all over your decor and so on. And you need to gravel vac. And if you set up a substrate that's super thick like this, there's not enough water in your tank to thoroughly gravel vac it. You'll be doing bucket after bucket after bucket, and it'll be just full of dirt, and it'll take forever, and you're increasing your workload, and you're not really getting the job done properly, and it's a time bomb. I can't say it enough. It's a time bomb. You can get everything you need for your plants out of 1.5 inches of 50-50 mix of gravel and sand. Your plants will root just fine in it. There'll be enough quote unquote loam to get whatever job done that you think loam does for a tank. It probably does do something for a tank, but if the ratio's too much, anything's always bad, and too much fish poop's definitely bad. I assure you. Don't let your fish live in a septic tank. Keep that substrate thin, and give it a shot with the 50-50 sand and gravel mix. You'll be very pleased at the results, the ease of care, the low maintenance, and your plants will still thrive. I guarantee it. You don't need mud. There's enough fish poop going on in this tank. I'll never need mud. And the plants to get everything they need from my high nutrient, pre-digested foods. So you don't need chemicals. You don't need this. You don't need that. My tank would be absolutely exploding with plants right now, without any additives whatsoever, if I simply brought my temperature down. But I run discus, and that's just the way it is for this tank. Thank yous all for watching. I hope yous have a wonderful day. Oh, and if you like fish, hit that subscribe button.